You're useless, Jake. You can't even give me what I deserve. Those words hit like a punch to the gut. It wasn't the first time Emma humiliated me in front of her friends, but this time, something inside me shifted. We were sitting at a fancy rooftop restaurant downtown, the kind of place she always insisted we go to because it's where real couples dine. Emma's friends were giggling around the table, sipping cocktails, dressed like they were in a movie scene. And there I was, sitting quietly, trying to keep my composure as she mocked me right in front of them. One of her friends, Chloe, smirked and said, "Maybe if you worked harder, you could afford to keep up with Emma." The whole table laughed. Emma didn't even try to defend me. Instead, she leaned in and said, "He tries his best. But let's be honest, love doesn't pay bills, right?" I forced a smile. "You're right, love doesn't pay bills. But respect doesn't cost anything either." Her friends went quiet. Emma glared at me like I'd just embarrassed her. Later that night, when we got home, she exploded. "How dare you make me look bad in front of my friends?" she yelled. I stared at her, confused. "Make you look bad? You called me useless in front of them, Emma." "Oh, grow up, Jake. It was a joke." I sighed. "A joke is funny when both people laugh." She rolled her eyes. "You're too sensitive. That's your problem. You can't handle a strong woman." That night I couldn't sleep. I just lay there thinking about how we'd gotten here. Because it wasn't always like this. When I met Emma, she was nothing like this. I was 27, working as a project manager at a small tech company. She was a marketing student doing her internship. We met at a mutual friend's birthday party. I remember she was wearing this yellow dress and had the kind of smile that made the whole room light up. She laughed at my lame jokes, and for a moment, it felt like she actually saw me, not the quiet guy in the corner, but someone worth knowing. We started dating soon after. She loved how simple I was. My old pickup truck, the small apartment, the nights we spent watching Netflix instead of going out. At least, that's what she said. Back then, Emma worked part-time at a boutique and dreamt of becoming a brand consultant. She was ambitious, driven, and I admired that. I helped her with her assignments, stayed up all night editing her projects, and even designed her first online portfolio. When she landed her first job, she cried tears of joy and hugged me, whispering, "You're the best thing that ever happened to me." That was 3 years ago. Now? She barely looked at me without rolling her eyes. Things started changing the moment she got promoted. She began hanging out with her new coworkers, fancy parties, business mixers, influencer events. I didn't mind at first. I was proud of her. She worked hard for this. But slowly, she began changing the way she looked at me. She'd compare me to her friends' boyfriends. "Did you see Chloe's boyfriend bought her a Cartier bracelet? You don't even get me flowers anymore." "I work all day too, Emma. But I can't compete with guys who earn 3 times my salary." "Then maybe you should try harder, Jake." Her words started cutting deeper each time. She became obsessed with appearances, social media posts, expensive dinners, luxury brands. One night, I came home early from work and found her trying on clothes for a party. She turned to me and said, "Babe, don't wear that old jacket tonight. My coworkers are going to be there." I frowned. "What's wrong with it?" "It's not about what's wrong with it. It's just, you look kind of basic." Basic. That word haunted me. Fast forward to the rooftop restaurant incident, the night she publicly humiliated me. That was the moment I realized something. Emma didn't love me anymore. She loved the idea of me when I was convenient, when I was her cheerleader, her supporter, her background character. But now that she'd stepped into the spotlight, I was just the shadow she wanted to escape. That night, as she slept beside me, I made a silent promise. I wouldn't argue. I wouldn't beg. I wouldn't fight for her respect anymore. Instead, I'd let my actions speak. Over the next few weeks, I focused on myself. I stopped trying to please her. I poured all my energy into work. Our company was developing a new software product, something I'd been quietly leading for months. It wasn't flashy, but I knew it had potential. My boss had always said, "Jake, you've got the brain of an engineer and the heart of a leader. You just don't know it yet." So I started staying late, taking charge of the project, fixing problems others couldn't. Meanwhile, Emma grew more distant. She started hiding her phone, coming home late, avoiding my touch. One night, I saw a text pop up on her phone while she was in the shower. It was from a guy named Ethan Briefcase. "Last night was amazing. Can't stop thinking about you." My chest tightened. I didn't confront her right away. I wanted to see how far she'd go. The next day, she came home in a hurry, smelling like expensive cologne. I asked, "Rough day?" She nodded quickly. "Yeah, just work. I'm exhausted." Then she went straight to the shower. That was all the confirmation I needed. But I didn't lash out. I didn't yell or cry. Instead, I smirked. Because if she thought I was useless, she was about to find out how wrong she was. In the coming weeks, I finalized our software prototype. The company's investors were blown away. My boss pulled me aside after the demo. "Jake, this is incredible. We're offering you the position of project director, and a share in the profits." I could barely breathe. That promotion would triple my income overnight. That evening I drove home, hands trembling on the steering wheel. I wanted to tell Emma. But when I opened the door, she wasn't there. Her closet was half empty. Her jewelry box gone. A note sat on the kitchen counter. "I can't do this anymore. You're holding me back. I've found someone who matches my energy. Don't contact me, Ethan." She left me for him. That night, I sat alone on the couch, staring at her note. For a moment, I felt empty. Like someone had cut a piece out of me. But then, I smiled. Not out of spite, but relief. Because for the first time in years, I didn't have to prove my worth to someone who never saw it. I could finally breathe. And that was the start of something I never saw coming. After Emma left, the silence in our apartment was deafening. The space that once felt warm suddenly felt like a stranger's home. Her perfume still lingered in the air, her half-empty coffee mug sat on the counter, and the bed felt way too big. But that silence became my motivation. I didn't chase her. I didn't text, call, or beg her to come back. Instead, I started rebuilding, not just my life, but myself. I spent weeks buried in work. Early mornings, late nights, and a focus I'd never felt before. Every time I felt that ache in my chest, I used it as fuel. Our project officially launched 3 months later. And the response was beyond anything I expected. Tech blogs started calling it the next big innovation in digital workflow. Major investors came on board. And overnight, our small team became one of the most talked about success stories in our industry. My promotion turned into a partnership deal. My name was on the company's front page. And with the first profit payout, I bought my dream car, a black Tesla Model S. Not because I needed to show off, but because it was a reminder of how far I'd come from the man she called useless. Then, one evening, out of nowhere, she called. I remember staring at my phone, frozen. Her name flashing on the screen after months of silence. I almost didn't answer. But curiosity got the better of me. "Hello?" There was a pause. Then her voice, soft, hesitant. "Jake, hey. It's me." I said nothing. "I know I probably don't deserve to call you," she continued. "But can we talk?" I kept my tone flat. "About what, Emma?" I wanted to say I'm sorry. For everything. I was stupid. I didn't realize what I had until it was gone." I leaned back in my chair. "You realized that after Ethan dumped you?" She froze. "How did you?" "I didn't. You just confirmed it." She went silent. Then I heard her sniffle. "He cheated on me. With his coworker. The same way we started. I guess karma really doesn't miss." I stayed quiet. Part of me wanted to comfort her. But another part, the part she crushed, reminded me that she chose her path. "I miss you, Jake," she whispered. Can we meet? Please? Just to talk. I hesitated. Then I said, Sure. Tomorrow. Coffee at Willow Cafe, 6 p.m. When she walked in the next evening, I barely recognized her. The confident, glamorous woman I once knew looked broken. Her eyes were puffy, her makeup barely done, her designer bag clutched like it was the only thing she had left. Jake. She breathed out. Emma. She sat down across from me, staring like she was trying to find the old version of me in the new one. You look different, she said softly. I should. Life changes you. She gave a weak smile. You seem happy. I am, I said simply. Her smile faded. I'm glad. I really am. You deserve it. I waited. I knew she didn't call me just to say that. Finally, she took a deep breath. Jake, I made a mistake. I thought I needed more, fancier things, luxury status. But all I did was lose the only person who ever truly cared for me. I looked her straight in the eye. I cared, Emma? Deeply. But you didn't just walk away. You tore me apart before leaving. You mocked me. You made me feel like I wasn't enough. She started crying silently. I know. I was wrong. I let my ego destroy everything. She reached across the table, her hand trembling. Please, can we start over? I've changed. I looked down at her hand, then back up at her. Emma, I said calmly, I don't hate you. But I don't owe you a second chance. I gave you the best version of me, and you gave it to someone else. She blinked fast, trying not to cry harder. You're really not coming back, are you? I smiled softly. I already did, just not to you. She looked confused. I came back to myself, I said. And that's the only reunion I ever needed. That night, I drove home feeling lighter than I had in years. The chapter was finally closed. But life had one more twist waiting. 2 months later, our company hosted a major tech gala. Investors, executives, and media were all there. And guess who showed up? Emma. She'd come as a guest of one of the PR agencies sponsoring the event. When she saw me step on stage to speak, introduced as Jake Carter, co-founder and director of Innovis Technologies, her jaw dropped. After the presentation, she approached me near the lobby. Jake, she said quietly, I had no idea this is what you've been working on. I smiled. While you were busy judging me for not being enough, I was building something bigger than both of us. She bit her lip. You really proved me wrong. I shrugged. You didn't believe in me, Emma. But that's okay. I started believing in myself instead. Before she could say anything else, my new partner walked over, Mia, our lead developer. She smiled warmly and said, Hey, babe, everyone's waiting for you at the table. Emma froze. Babe? I smiled at Mia. Be right there. Then turned back to Emma. Take care, Emma. Truly. She forced a smile. Yeah. You too, Jake. As she walked away, I saw her wipe a tear from her cheek. And for the first time, I didn't feel anger or satisfaction. Just peace. Later that night, as I stood on the balcony overlooking the city lights, Mia came up behind me. What are you thinking about? She asked. I smiled faintly. Just how life comes full circle. She leaned her head on my shoulder. You deserve everything good that's happening, you know that? I nodded. Yeah, but I had to lose everything first to see it. It's funny how life works. A few years ago, I was the guy sitting quietly at a table while the woman I loved mocked me in front of her friends. Now, I was standing on stage being applauded by hundreds of people, the same city, the same skyline, but a completely different man. And in that crowd, she was somewhere watching. Not with anger or envy, but with regret. Because the truth about life is, when you plant disrespect, you harvest distance. When you water someone's insecurities, don't be surprised when they grow strong enough to outgrow you. A few months after the gala, I heard through a mutual friend that Emma had quit her job. Apparently, things hadn't gone her way at work, Ethan had been fired for harassment, and the scandal affected her department too. She was struggling to rebuild, working freelance gigs, trying to stay afloat. And part of me wanted to reach out. Not out of pity, but to tell her that it's never too late to start over. But then I realized she needed her own silence, her own solitude, her own rebuilding. Just like I did. Because sometimes, growth requires walking through fire alone. Meanwhile, my life had taken a turn I never expected. Mia, my new partner, wasn't just someone I worked with. She became the person I could truly be myself around. No judgment. No comparisons. No mockery. We built things together, not just projects, but a life. She'd say things like, "You know what's sexy? A man who doesn't give up." And for someone who'd once been told he was useless, those words healed wounds I didn't even know were still bleeding. One night, while we were celebrating another successful launch, I got a message on LinkedIn. It was from Emma. "Hey Jake. I saw the new project you released. It's amazing. I mean it, you deserve everything you're getting. And thank you. Because losing you taught me more about myself than staying ever could. I hope you're happy. Emma." I sat there for a long time after reading it. And for the first time, I didn't feel pain or pride. Just peace. Because that's what healing really looks like, when the person who once broke you no longer controls your emotions. Looking back now, I realize I didn't lose Emma. I lost the version of myself that needed her validation. And that's a trade I'd make every single time. I used to think revenge meant proving someone wrong. But the real revenge is happiness. It's waking up every morning knowing you're living a life built on your own worth, not someone else's opinion of it. Sometimes, life puts you through heartbreaks to remove the people who are blocking your growth. Sometimes, the betrayal you think broke you is the exact pain that pushes you to become who you were meant to be. If someone calls you useless, unworthy, not enough, remember this. Their words don't define your value. Their rejection doesn't decide your destiny. You do. So if you're sitting in silence tonight, wondering if you'll ever bounce back, you will. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day, you'll look back and realize the pain was preparing you for something far greater. I don't hate Emma. I thank her. Because if she hadn't broken me, I would have never rebuilt myself into this man. If she hadn't walked away, I'd still be chasing validation instead of purpose. And if she hadn't called me useless that night, I might have never discovered how powerful I truly am. To everyone listening, you are not defined by the people who underestimate you. You are defined by how you rise when they doubt you, how you rebuild when they leave you, and how you choose peace when you could choose revenge. Don't waste your life proving your worth to someone who's blind to it. Prove it to yourself, quietly, consistently, relentlessly. Because one day, they'll look at you the same way Emma looked at me that night. With tears in their eyes, realizing they lost something they'll never find again. And when that day comes, don't gloat. Don't hate. Just smile, the same way I did. Because that's the sweetest victory of all.